Yes, two players. Ross McCausland came in with a foot injury that he's been carrying for quite a while, and he's gone back to Rangers. We just felt that it wasn't in his best interest to try and see how he was. So, and Jamal Lewis, similar, come in with an ankle situation, and he will be returning to his club as well.
Can we just ask about the defensive line with Jamal out? We've already spoken about Paddy being out, Toll being out. How confident are you that Daniel Ballard's fitness and just in the general strength of the back?
Yeah, look, there's always a little bit of uncertainty when players aren't playing at their club. We've managed Daniel's training, which needs to be managed carefully. I think that probably as a centre back you can come in and play, given that he's not played so many minutes, but he's trained in the last sort of 2 weeks. But obviously his game time has been limited due to injury at Sunderland, and Sunderland on a good run. He's been on the bench the last couple of games, so he's been ready to play. So no real concerns about that. Kieran comes in. Kieran plays every week. Is an option to come in and play on the left-hand side. Naturally, left-sided player. We've got Brodie, obviously, in that scenario as well to slot into the back three. So, look, we have to compensate. To have two of your back three missing from the previous game is never easy. But it's something that I think through probably having a little bit of versatility in the squad, we're going to have to prove that we can deal with that.
Spoken about the difficulty of maintaining sort of momentum in international football given the break between games, but have you detected a sort of bounce in the players coming out of Bulgaria last month?
Well, I get a sense of a positivity, which I think we've had for quite a while now. That I've said many times that for this group, it's not to get, a bad result is never a disaster. It's a setback. That's all it ever is. When you've got a young group like that, you have to deal with those situations they have. It's how they react to that. They'll have difficult nights in the future as well. The positive thing is they're here. They're all in. They want to be here. The training's been good. The preparation is good, and they're developing a nice habit of winning games at international level, and that's a real positive, because I think when you come, it's easy to come as a small nation and not win, and it becomes difficult, but there's no better feeling than turning up and winning games, and I think you see that in terms of the approach of the players.
And I know you've always spoken about a focus on the longer term and development, but what would it say for this group and the age of this group to win the group in a promotion?
Look, I think they've got a huge amount of confidence from that. I think that when we go and play at the next level of European football, that confidence would stand them in good stead. I think that in those games against a League B team, for example, we've acquitted ourselves well. We acquitted ourselves well against League A teams as well. I look back at the two games in Denmark away, Denmark at home. So, yeah, it's just about making the team and the players individually as game ready to deal with that. This competition has been good for us on this occasion, and if we can finish top of the group and take the confidence from that, we'll take that obviously into the World Cup and whatever the draw brings, because we don't really know. We could be in a group of 5 or a group of 4. So we will have to compete with nations of the same level as ourselves. And it's important that obviously we know how to win against these teams home and away.
Not expecting you to name a goalkeeper, but there's been a lot of focus on that area in the team now that Bailey's back. How have you seen the competition this week between the three of them?
Well, look, I'm very fortunate. We've got a really experienced goalkeeping coach in Tony Kegg, who's not only worked obviously at first team level at Newcastle, but has worked at development level as well. He's head of goalkeeping within their academy as well. So I think he handles the situation really well and manages the goalkeepers really well as well. So we have different scenarios, obviously, with Bailey not playing at his club, Pearce playing in cup games for his club, but obviously came and played extremely well for us here in October, and Luke playing at Bolton, although he came out of the team on Saturday. So we've rarely, have at Northern Ireland have we had 3 goalkeepers maybe all playing. I look back to possibly when we had Roy, Alan Manus and Michael McGovern. They all played, all maybe at different times level or different type of their career. So I think the competition's good. You know, I've said to all the keepers, and you know, your club form will dictate your international, and it's not easy when you're not playing. It's not easy to be a number two. What Pearce has probably over all the rest of them is that he has time and he has youth on his side, and there's always excitement around youth as well. And the nature of how he plays the game and his temperament was obviously very impressive in the last game. But Bailey has the experience, you know what I mean? He's been a consistent goalkeeper since probably, what, 2018, 19, I think, when we brought Bailey in first. So, you know, he's got the miles on the clock as well. And the others have to obviously push, you know, to provide competition as well.
And my now predictable question I'm going to ask, can you tell us who the captain will be tomorrow?
Yeah, Shea will captain the team tomorrow, yeah.
In that case, I'll come to you now, Shea. So what does it mean to you to have that one?
I mean, yeah, it's obviously a very proud moment for me. Obviously for my family, mum and dad. Obviously it came out as a bit of a surprise as well. You know, Connor and Trey being captain last two camps, so yeah, I'm just looking forward to leading the team out.
When did you find out? Was it today or was it early in the week?
Yeah, it was early on today, just before training. Michael's pulled me to the side and told me, and obviously I was buzzing.
Yeah. Do you know what sort of captain you want to be? Is there a particular role model you want to follow? What kind of approach do you want to take to it?
Yeah, I just want to lead by example, you know, on and off the pitch. Hopefully, if I play well, I can help others with me, and yeah, just keep the team together.
The question I sort of asked Michael, what sort of bounce do you think there is in the squad, just coming off that Bulgaria result?
I'd just say there's just a sense of confidence within the team, and I felt that's been there for a while now. You know, we've had some good results and some good performances, so I think, yeah, there's confidence. Hopefully we can do something similar and get the win tomorrow night.
What lessons did you learn from facing Belarus in Hungary?
I'd probably say don't let them don't let the game get into a way that they can kind of control it. I feel like, you know, in the first half we had so many chances and all the flow was in with us and towards them. I'd say, yeah, second half we kind of slowed down a little bit and let them kind of control it and just sit deep. So yeah, I think if we take our chances tomorrow night, we'll have a very good chance.
Michael, Justin Devaney is a new addition to the squad. Firstly, what kind of player do you think he can be for Northern Ireland? And secondly, was he always in your mind to come into the group on Monday, or was the game for Palace at the weekend a little bridge to help you in that direction?
Well, first, it was always in our mind. We knew that with no under-21 game in this window, with the under-21 campaign finished, we were going to try and add from that group if possible. It's difficult at the minute because, you know, even we're at 25 players now, so we were at 27 originally, which is higher than what we would normally be. The way the squad works, if you think about it, you know, I obviously have to notify the clubs 2 weeks before the players report, so there's official notification of that. But like we always felt that we would add Justin at some point, particularly when we knew obviously that he was going to come into Palace's team, which he did. What kind of player is he? He's obviously a left-sided midfield player, good athlete, handles the ball really, really well, has looked really comfortable in training, and look, he's a player that, you know, when I took this job, before we played in the June, we had an under-21 camp at the time. We didn't have an under-21 manager, so myself and Jimmy took it, and we got to know a lot of the lads, to be fair, and you know, the likes of Callum Marshall was in that group, Dale Taylor, Aaron Donnelly, and Justin was there as well. At the time, he was playing for Airdrie, you know, but he handled the ball. I could see that there was a player in there, and then the move was probably, I thought his next step would probably be back to the SPFL, but it hasn't been. It's been to England, and you know, it's not easy to get minutes in the Premier League for any team. So, you know, I know he's really highly regarded there. He's been captain of their 21 team, and I think he's going to be a good addition to the squad.
Like
Well, we saw the benefit. We had a fast start here against Luxembourg, and we didn't dominate the ball against Luxembourg, but we controlled the game, and we could have won the game, obviously more than 2-0. Bulgaria, we had a great start. Again, we were very clinical with the chances that we got, and had some great play and some quality and other chances. But I think at home you have to play. There's a responsibility on us to engage the crowd. I've said that to the players, and you do that by playing on the front foot, and you play in the opposition half, and the ball's in the box, and you're making good decisions. Also getting the ball back, where we've been very good is we've been great at, when we've turned the ball over. I think the modern term for it is counter pressing. We've been very good at that. We win the ball well. We've got our attacking players are good at getting the ball back, which is good. It's an onus on us as a team, and that's something that we want to continue. So I think the crowd like to see that. They see a team that's an athletic team, a team that will play with intensity, and hopefully we can feed off that, and they can feed off us.
How important on the other side of patience, especially if Belarus come and sit in that deep black and court and automatically get frustrated as maybe not in the first game?
It's very important. I think first game, particularly in the first half, there was space for us to play in. Second half, less space, and it was more difficult for us to create. But we still had 2 or 3 good opportunities at this level that you would hope to take. You're always a little bit more wary about the counter attack, so you've got to manage that situation. Patience is everything. You have to find a way, against that type of. And look, you're talking to a coach here that's gone and played that way in many occasions, and made it difficult for the opposition and frustrated, top teams. And so, yeah, it's I think another just part of the development of the team. They have to make sure that, if you win the game in the 89th minute, it still counts the same as a 5-0 victory. So we have to manage the patience, manage the frustration if it's not going our way. But also we have to realise that, and as I said to players today, this will be a tough game. They will come into this game thinking, well, we can win the group as well. So there's a lot at stake for Belarus as well.
And just in terms of development for the future, another positive result and another good result at home, would that just feed in with the positivity and confidence that's surrounding the group, that the Bulgaria result wasn't just a test of time?
Yeah, well, look, I think if you look at us sort of over the last 12 months, I think over the 8 games, we've had 4 wins, 2 draws, 2 defeats, 1 defeat to Spain, 1 defeat away to Bulgaria. There's been a number of clean sheets in that as well, which is a big part of the development of the team as well. And look, winning games is the best feeling for players. It's the best feeling for coaches, fans. So we want to continue that. We will be drawn, and we want to go into the World Cup draw in as strong a position as possible and as optimistic position as possible. And this will be our last home game before we play in the World Cup, probably, depending on the draw, obviously. So we've got to maximise the opportunity.
You referenced the 2 games here, and obviously you want to finish in the high with positive results and the chance to win the group. But it's also the longer term of promotion, and we look towards the World Cup in 2026. This could be another big step forward in the progression for the sport.
Well, yeah, look, I mean, I do feel that, probably where we were at was, we're probably always going to be between League B, League C. When we're strong, we'll be in League B. It'll be a very difficult task for us to get higher than that. But it's how we perform at League B level is probably what will be a key factor when you come to a qualification group. You're going to have to finish above League B teams. And that's something that, if we get that opportunity to play at the next level, is going to help us. You want to play, the best games possible, but you still have to, beat the teams that are at this level. There's some good teams still playing at this level. I look at Sweden, I look at Romania that are at this level as well. So, there's some big players playing as well. I think the competition is good. It's good for particularly the smaller nations. And, if we can progress, it'll be a real positive.
You've had to deal with a few defensive goals in the last few games, but it must be very pleasing that you've got so solid in those games, part of the Spain game. They can see that more and more in the game, which must be very pleasing.
Yeah, look, the performances have been good defensively. That's been the whole team, really. If I look back at the game against Denmark, where we didn't have a lot of the possession, but we won the game 2-0, we obviously won the game in Scotland with not a lot of possession and won the game 1-0. There's been different types of game where we've had more of the ball, but we haven't conceded cheap goals. You know, we saw the top level of European football against Spain. You know, the goals that I think we've conceded, which are, you know, obviously the goal in Bulgaria and the goal in Romania, were preventable. Like, they were individual errors. So, you know, what we've probably been quite good is that, you know, we've not committed those types of errors in this recent run of games, and that's something that obviously we want to continue.
And Shay, it's been a big couple of months for your family. How proud, what moment was it last month, and obviously Pierce playing alongside you?
No, yeah, I was very proud. You know, obviously my family was very happy as well. And yeah, we had talks about obviously playing for Northern Ireland together. Yeah, I guess it kind of came around sooner than we expected, and yeah, he played well. So yeah, I couldn't really be happier for him.
Did you have much of a chat beforehand, before the first game, that they sort of settled down, or is Pierce just one of these ones that gets on with it? Like?
No, I didn't really say a whole lot to him. 'Cause I know how good he is. He backs himself as well, so I think he'd just go out there and play his own game with full confidence.
And how proud will it be for you tomorrow night to walk out at Windsor Park leading the team out?
Yeah, I can't wait really. Yeah, it'll be a very proud moment for me, and yeah, I look forward to leading the boys out.
And the last game against Bulgaria at home was also a special night. What was it like to play in that, and the atmosphere and the whole crowd, and come out with such a positive result?
Yeah, it was really good. You know, starting strong is so important, and yeah, just playing in front of the fans was really good. I know after the first goal it was bouncing, and I remember especially after the third goal, the place was really rocking, and yeah, that's the kind of atmosphere you wanna create, and just to do that, you just got to put on a good performance and score goals.
Michael, are you surprised with the progress? Like, I mean, I'm just thinking back over the last 12 months. It's, what, 9 games, 5 wins, 2 draws, just 2 defeats, 1 loss to Spain. But for that Denmark, it was real low. The campaign hadn't gone well in the Euros and stuff. But since then, it's been a steady progression. And you had to cope with losing a lot of older, experienced players. You had to like fast track a lot of young ones. But did you think it'd make the progress that you have?
Well, look, you have to believe in the players when you select them. The previous campaign it's a different team. That's the reality. You know, if you look at even from the, you know, Shea was the player that played the most minutes in that previous campaign, and that was him coming in to play as an international footballer without having at that time played any minutes for his first team. So I think what you see is how the individual players grow. Isaac in the same category. You know, Trey Hume was a younger player. So there was a lot of those players in difficult situations, but there was a lot, as much of the players that we lost, you know, Conor Bradley only played 2 games in that campaign. He got injured in the 3rd game and wasn't available for us again. And I think, you know, you have to be patient with players. So, you know, Owen Toll's a better player than he was 12 months ago. And, you know, he's adapted. He'd only been in England just over a season at that point in time. So there's a natural progression that comes, and you can't accelerate that. You just have to let it happen. What you can do is give the players belief, give them a structure to play in, something that they believe in as well. And then, you know, there's a togetherness in this group, and they've emerged from that campaign with some disappointments in terms of the results, but they've emerged, I think, in a much, you know, in a better place, and probably realising, you know, the margins of international football. And we had 5 1-0 defeats. There's very little in those games, and that's something that, you know, we have to recognise, you know, how we control that situation. And I think that, like, you know, Shea's playing regular first team football now at Sheffield Wednesday. You know, Conor has had that season and gone through at Bolton. He's challenging to be in Liverpool's team. Isaac's playing every week. Trey's playing every week. So that helps your squad naturally. They're in a, you know, where players are in their club situation has a big bearing on their effectiveness at international level as well.
And just one for Shea, really. Just thinking of your career, Shea, because you obviously were at City, but you need to leave there because you want to play right there, and then you went to Southampton, they got promoted, but there's the decision made to go to Sheffield Wednesday, which you probably think, oh, that's disappointing, missing out in the Premier League, and yet, as Michael just says, you're playing every week now for Sheffield, which are a very big club in the Championship. Has that been great for you?
Yeah, I think going into this season, for me, I had to play more football and start games. And I think the Championship's a great league for that. I was Sheffield Wednesday is a really good club for that as well. But yeah, I think just as long as I carry on like this, it'll be a really good season for me.
Because a lot of people would say, leave them and say what you do. You know what I mean? They just see the big club, but they don't understand how hard it's meant to be play regularly there. But was that a tough decision to make to do that and to try and progress your career?
Yeah, of course. I had been there since I was about 7 years old, so to leave my home and the club I support, it was tough. But yeah, I thought going to Southampton was the right decision for me at the time, and to go and play in the Championship and get promotion, it was I'd say a good first year in senior football.
Shay, congratulations. Delighted for you, mate.
Thank you.
Have you captained many teams before?
I've captained the under-21s at City in my last year.
And this is going to be your first senior captaincy.
It will be, yeah.
What did you learn from Hume and Bradley then whenever they were captain?
Yeah, I'd just say those two, they lead by example, both on and off the pitch. So I'll just try and replicate something similar to what they've done. And those two have been, so important for our team in the last year or so.
Against Bulgaria, I would say in my experience, that your performance in midfield was one of the best delivered by a Northern Ireland player for a long, long time. You were on top of that game. If Isaac doesn't score the hat-trick, you win man of the match, hands down. How did you feel during that match and after it?
First of all, thank you. I appreciate that. But no, I felt really good. I feel like I started the game well, and then as the goals came, it was just like kind of free flowing. I feel like everyone played well. I think when everyone's playing well, it obviously helps me to play my game, and I feel I did well.
And where do you see this team going now? Because these are all sort of growing together, it seems to me.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, I thought we've not really thought too much in the future. We just focus on this campaign, and at the moment, hopefully, we can just go and win the group.
Have you had a chance to be in touch with your family yet about the captaincy?
No, I've actually not spoken to them yet. No.
Very proud if they get the call.
Yeah, I'll ring my mum soon, I think.
Good man. Michael, why Shay? Obviously, Connor and Trey got the nod the last two. Double headers, but
For me, it's an easy decision. You have a player that, as you rightly said, in the last game, but a player that since we put him in the team has taken responsibility and taken an enormous amount of responsibility on the pitch for a young player. So putting an armband around him doesn't change that. You know what I mean? As you said, I think Shay's, got, as I've said many times, the attributes to play right at the highest level of the game. He has the temperament to play right at the highest level of the game. And that's what you're looking for in a captain as well. You know what I mean? I think he has a really, really good temperament. But, whether Shay had the armband or not, he's always going to be one of your leaders on the pitch. So I think he's deserved that opportunity. Since I've come in, he's been available every game. He's played every game. He basically plays every minute. So, as a manager, what more can you ask?
what did you think of that performance against Bulgaria?
I thought, as a team, obviously the performance was great individually, and Shay will know this because we've had conversations about it. I think the biggest benefit I see in Shay, and probably playing in the Championship has helped him do this, is without the ball. I think we all know what his capability is with the ball, and his quality of passing and his understanding of the game. And you can tell that he's been at a club where he's been coached at the highest level of the game. But I think where he's really, really improved is without the ball. And in the Championship, you have to do that. The ball changes hands a lot. I know that from my time at Stoke. So, that was probably where I've seen the biggest improvement. And what for Shay, Shay doesn't need to be coached. He just needs games. Games. The more games he plays over this season and over next season and going forward will just elevate him as a player. And as I said, I believe he can play right at the top level.
12 months since this great run started against Denmark. What have you learned about the team in that time? And what have you learned about in terms of yourself?
I think, look, we had to look at different situations over prior to that. You know, when we were in games and we went behind, we struggled to get back into the game. We didn't struggle. We weren't outplayed very often, but we didn't be. You know, we'd gone a goal behind, and we lost those games. That was the deciding factor in the game. So we've been probably a little bit tougher in terms of our mentally. We've been, I think, a little bit more conservative and pragmatic with our system. So the system that we've played has suited the players. I think we had to find that a little bit. Sometimes you don't always have a natural player. You know, if you look at Brodie, for example, as a right-footed player being asked to play on the left as a left wing-back in that game, you know, I've watched him play there for his club, but you wouldn't say that it's his natural position. But so you have to let that develop a little bit as well. And with young players, you just give them structure and guidance and let them play. You know, we don't have to worry about, you know, the running power of the team. We know it's there. We just got to make sure that, you know, they recognise that that's a big, you know, characteristic of how we play as a team. And you know, I've really enjoyed it. It's been really refreshing, I think, from, you know, the staff around the team as well. And they're a brilliant group of lads that come in, enjoy being together and want to do well. They want to progress. They're, you know, as I said many times, there need to be a lot of good players to come through to dislodge a lot of these players. I think they're going to be in the international squad for a very long time.
After the 5-0 game against Bulgaria, it seemed to me like the buzz was back around Northern Ireland. I think you went on holiday straight after, so you maybe missed it. But it was certainly there. It was probably the first time I've felt it since maybe the 2018 World Cup campaign. It's all about building on that, though, isn't it? I know you like to get the country behind you, don't you? Well,
we need to, like, it's the same in any, you know, every international team goes through phases, and it happens all the time. Like, even, you know, I remember speaking to the Danish coach before we played them, and he said, like, the first thing they had to do after the previous tournament they've been at was reconnect with the fans. So it happens everywhere, you know. I think you saw that with the German team this year in the summer. You know, so when you get that situation, you know, I think it's a real positive. And international football is very different for players mentally. You turn up, it's a personal thing. Your family are watching you. So, you know, you don't want it to be disappointing. So if it is disappointing, it's more disappointing than what happens at your club, because you get the chance to correct that 3 days later, and the club game moves so fast. So, you know, when you come to represent your country, it's such a massive deal for the players, for their families, for everything, that, you know, to make it positive and make it enjoyable, you know, you can then, obviously, everyone else feeds off that as well.
I think, though, it's funny, you can forget how much it means to people. You know, like, after the Bulgaria match, there was people around everywhere in Northern Ireland walking around with smiles on their faces. Genuine, like, and you don't do that often, like, you know what I mean? So how important is it for you to keep that feeling?
Yeah, look, of course you want that. You know, I do think there also has to be a sense of perspective, and the team is going to grow, and it's going to continue to grow, and that we shouldn't, you know, be overly disappointed if they go through periods which are more difficult. That'll all be part of it. But yeah, look, I think it's always nice for the team to come back here and look forward to the game. You know what I mean? There's been Northern Ireland teams in the past that have come back here and maybe, you know, they've not won here or scored a goal here for a long time and everything. And that was the biggest thing that I had to change between in 2012 and going through 2014 to coming in 2016, was suddenly, you know, and it coincided with the development of the stadium. The players enjoyed playing here. They didn't enjoy playing in the old stadium. Let's be honest, you know what I mean? It was so, you know, I think there's a lot of things that have added to that. There was difficult periods, you know, there was obviously a natural drop-off, there was COVID, there was different scenarios that Ian had to deal with, which were difficult, and a lot of these players weren't ready for Ian, you know what I mean? They were probably underneath, waiting, they were simmering a little bit, and it was important now that, you know, we pushed them through at the right time. But we have a huge amount of work to do. We're far, far from where we need to be as a team, where we would love to, you know, where we believe we can be a team that will qualify for a World Cup or a team that will qualify for a European Championship. We still have a lot of games to get over, and we still have to put a few more miles on the clock.